All
What
right,
happened?
so we are here at our top 5, but this week we're doing top 5 comedians.
Oh, that'd
So,
be nice.
yeah, that would be nice. I hope you know about this, Jack. We have prepared this. It's not a surprise to you. You should have 5 comedians ready.
No.
So we're gonna do the same thing we did last week. We're gonna start from my number 5 spot. I'm gonna work our way up to the glorious, outstanding number 1.
Yeah.
So, Jack, you can go first. Who is your number 5 comedian?
Okay. So before we start this list, I would like to prefix this, so I'm aware of this.
Yes.
Of saying this was one of the hardest lists I've wrote in a
Absolutely.
very, very long time.
Yes.
And all these people in top 5 could equally be number 1. Like, it's very, very difficult to figure out which ones. But this is what I had from when I figured it out. But it's fucking difficult because there's Wales full of boss comedians.
Yeah. Also, this isn't a fixed forever list. This is just, and at the moment, off the top of our heads, top 5. It's not the ultimate top 5 ever there was. So yeah. So don't feel bad if you're not on the list.
I'd like to give an honourable mention as well to Peter Kay, because he didn't make me top 5 list, but I remember vividly when I was a kid watching the Blackpool Tower and being absolutely bent over double laughing with that stand-up.
Or the Bolton Albert Halls one.
Yeah, unbelievable stand-up.
It's a great show.
Incredible. But yeah, anyway.
Your number 5, Jack.
My number 5 is Adam Rowe. He's my number 5.
Nice. Adam Rowe from Liverpool.
Yes, Adam
Very
Rowe.
good comedian.
And as I say, Adam Rowe could be my number 1. I think he's fucking hilarious. I think the Have a Word podcast that he does with Dan Nightingale is brilliant.
It is a great
and
show.
I watched this stand-up special on YouTube, Club Comic, and it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Did you notice Nigel Young in the beginning of that? You know, that Uncle Roger who's really blown up recently?
Is that him? Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning he's talking about club comics and stuff, and it just cuts between a few of them. Nigel Young is one of them. So yeah, there you go.
It's a great one.
Is such a good special.
It, check it out on YouTube. It's Club Comic, really, really good, really funny.
I think it's 2 shows, isn't it? He did 2 shows back to back.
Yeah.
And changed the material between them.
Yeah.
It's great. I loved it. Very good number 5, mate. I like it.
Who's your number 5?
My number 5, right, here's a tough one. I had to do a split one, I'm afraid. I had to cheat straight out the gate. This is my only one where there's 2 people on it, but I couldn't decide. Now, one of them is very influential, I think, to comedy in general. The other one is very influential to me as a person, but on the same level, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, my number 5 spot goes to Billy Connolly and Bill Bailey.
Nice.
2 Bills. Now,
nice.
Bill Bailey, I was hugely into for ages. Still am, obviously, massive fan.
Yeah.
Billy Connolly, I watched a lot of growing up as a kid. I probably shouldn't have been watching as much as I did.
I was going to say.
But definitely formed my sense of humour in a way. And it's just fantastic comics. I couldn't pick between them for different reasons. But, so yeah, they are my joint 5. And I know people are like, but they should be higher up or they should be lower down. Shut up, it's my list, fuck off. So, number 5. So, Jack, who is your... No, also, everyone below, who's your number 5? Tell us, comment, tweet, whatever.
Let us know. We'll do it live so we can see a list going down.
Do it live, do it now. I've not even finished it. Do it now, I want to see.
Right now.
All right.
Right
now.
Jack. Now. Sorry.
God, he's so threatening. He's so scary. So, Jack, who's your number 4?
Number 4 for me is Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, nice.
Bill Burr is my number 4.
Captain King Billy himself.
And do you know what? It's somebody I've only watched the last few months, I'd say. So you said to me, like, listen to Bill Burr. I've heard of him around, I've seen him in a few films.
Yeah.
I've never seen his stand-up.
But
I watched his stand-up on Netflix when it came out. It's a Paper Tiger.
Paper Tiger.
So good.
Oh, that's such a good show. That's one of his best shows.
Yeah, I was sat in a hotel room somewhere abroad when I was playing, and I had a few hours to kill, and it was hilarious. It's one of the first stand-up comics I've seen in a while. That's made me absolutely belly laugh.
Do you want me to blow your mind, to make you shit your pants?
Go on.
Your number 5 opened for him on that show.
Really?
Yeah, Adam Rowe opened for him on the Albert Hall.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
I went to that tour. I think it was 2 days before he was in Liverpool. Ironically, Adam wasn't opening in Liverpool. Because he was doing the Albert Hall one. But yeah, we saw him in the Liverpool Philharmonic do that show.
That's mad.
It's such a good show. Really fucking funny. Really funny. And he's saying about how he can't understand what most things that people are saying to him.
Yeah.
Because he's in Liverpool. But he loves Liverpool. It's one of his favourite places, I think.
Oh, so, good.
Yeah,
no, it's really funny. I like the way he's got no sort of qualms about saying stuff. He just says what's funny in it. Yeah.
Exactly. He says what he thinks is funny, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
I get a lot of my opinions from a lot of things that he says.
Yeah.
very Bill-like in thought. That's cool. So that's a good number 4. Number 4, Bill Burr for Jack.
Who's your number 4, Chris?
My number 4, people are going to say, why isn't this number 1? My number 4 is George Carlin. Do you know George
Ooh.
Carlin?
No, don't think so.
Okay, right. He is massively influential in the comedy world.
Right.
He's dead now. He died in like 2008, I think.
Okay.
But he was just a prolific stand-up comic. He was going from the 60s and
Okay.
released a special basically every year till he died.
True.
But he went from being this straight-laced guy in a suit, like he was
Yeah.
on the radio, and then he was this guy in the suit on like the Ed, what's it called, the Ed Sullivan Show.
Okay.
You know, where like the Beatles first debuted.
Yeah.
He was on that show, I think it was that one anyway, and he was like straight-laced, clean comic, really funny, silly face. And then he got into the late 60s, early 70s, discovered Le Drogas, and turned into like the hippy dippy weatherman. That was like one of his characters, of this stoner, and it ended up kind of becoming him.
Yeah.
But he's really, really good. The reason he's number 4 and not higher up is because I adore everything George Carlin did. He's got some really funny books as well. Listen to his audio books. He's got one called When Will Jesus Bring the Pork Chops, and he's got one called Brain Droppings, and it's just random thoughts or like fake adverts and stuff. That's where he got the idea from for the fake adverts I used to do on my podcast. He does like random things like that, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
But the only reason that he's 4 instead of 1 is because he's like Bill. He's very opinionated and sticks with it. But sometimes it just feels a little preachy, which is fine. You can do that, and I agree with most of the things he'd say. But at the same time, you're like, I'd like some more comedy now. But don't get me wrong, that doesn't knock it down anymore, because he's still like, say if 100 is the absolute peak anybody could ever be, he's still a hard 99. Like just that 1% is gone. But that's it. Like really, if you've never heard George Carlin, which you haven't, highly recommend you listen to him. He actually he was the one that caused censorship on TV, I think, for stuff, because he had a joke called I think it was like the 5 things you can't say on TV, or the 7 banned words or something. And it was shit, piss, cock, sucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, or twat, or something like that. He had a bunch of words. But like back in the day, it was much weaker. Like, you couldn't say, crap and stuff like that. But yeah, he kind of blew up a bit from that, and it was really, really good. Go watch George Carlin, definitely.
I'll look at that.
Yes. So Jack, who's your number 3? The bronze.
For me is Lee Evans. Lee Evans, yeah.
Very solid.
And a lot of these stand-ups are coming from nostalgia, because I do watch a hell of a lot of comedy now, and I do love stand-up comedy, but a lot of these are like, when you say stand-up comedy, that's what I think of. That's what I thought of comedians, is straight off Lee Evans. Lee Evans, Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Roadrunner, unbelievable stand-up show. Unbelievable. And just the way he can talk to his body, the way he does the voices, I just think it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like Lee Evans. His style is great. Only downside, the only reason I kind of not stopped watching Lee Evans, I know he basically retired, but one thing that bugged me about him, which like Bill Burr doesn't do, is that he'd repeat some things on some specials, like some DVDs that were out, or VHS. He'd have jokes from the ones from before sometimes. And I don't like that. Whereas I know like George Carlin, Bill Burr, Louis C.K., they always have 100% new material. They throw away the material each year, start again, and that's what I love. It's just a constant evolution. So yeah. But I mean, other than that, that was rare anyway. Yeah, he was fantastic, Lee Evans, really, really good.
Yeah,
and so much energy on stage.
Oh, it was that first sort of style of comedy that I'd seen. Like, it was that sort of. I've always seen like your Jason Manford, your Michael McIntyre's, are sort of like topical satire comedy, which is great, really funny. Yeah. But Lee Evans is more like it's not impressions, but sort of.
It kind of stands out.
Yeah, it's just a different way of portraying the comedy, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, really good. Yeah.
Brilliant. No, good, solid bronze placer.
Who's your bronze placer? Who's got number 3?
My number 3, which actually, if I ever had to make, I used to have like a top 2 or 3 in my head all the time.
Yeah.
He's actually changed from 2 to 3 at the moment, but it's only because of recent favoritism.
Okay.
My number 3 is Louis C.K. Now,
right.
I know it's a little controversial at the moment. Louis had his problems, but my opinion's always been the guy's got a kink. He always has permission. Move on. So anyway, yeah.
As long as you got permission, it's all right.
But he always asked. But his comedy, hands down, fantastic stuff. Really, really funny to me. My sense of humour. And he actually released a new special this year that people haven't seen, because he released it only on his website, called Sincerely. And I think it's like £4 or something. Go and get it. It's really, really good. really funny. He does touch upon the controversy for a sec,
Yeah.
and then he's like, okay, we've got over that now, let's move on, you know.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
he addresses it in a way that helps you understand what's going on. But comedy wise, really funny. And he has a show, or had a show, called Louis. Basically, it was kind of like a pseudo autobiographical thing. So
Okay.
it was Louis spelled differently, so it wasn't him. But it was about a comic who lived in New York, who went to the Comedy Cellar and has 2 daughters, and like so it's him,
Yeah.
but it can be fictionalized because it's not technically him.
Yeah.
Really good show, really weird. Like there's times where you're like, this is getting a bit surreal,
Right.
but there's also moments you just can't forget, like when he goes to the dentist. I'll send you a clip if I can find one.
Yeah.
But my God, that is a funny bit. But there's also touching moments in it, though, like really sincere moments. Like there's one where there's an episode of Robin Williams in it, and they're going to like Louis hears about a friend who's passed away, like a comedian, and they go to the funeral and there's like no one there pretty much, apart from like him and like Robin Williams.
Oh, okay.
And so they just go to like a cafe and like, oh, you know, Jimmy was a nice guy, but it's a shame nobody came, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then they have this weirdly like deep conversation about death and stuff, and even now, since Robin Williams has since died, it's like it's extra kind of poignant.
Yeah,
and,
imagine,
really like, almost like meaningful, you know. But in general, though, I really like Louis' work. I like what he does. Hopefully, he'll make a full return at some point.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's obviously it was bad, but it was definitely blown out of proportion in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so number 3 for me, Louis C.K. So who's your number 2, Jack? Who's the silver medalist? Who's the almost did it?
My number 2, the almost did it. Yeah, I love the way you said that. My number 2 is Ricky Gervais.
Right, nice, Ricky Gervais.
With Ricky Gervais is a strange one because when I was a little bit younger, so like 5 years ago, or even younger, I seen some of his stand up on Netflix. Watched the first 5 minutes court. That's not very good.
Yeah,
like I'm not gonna watch that because he started with a joke about retard, and I was like, oh, I'm not disabled, blah blah. But now as I've grown up, I thought that's comedy. Like, do you know when they look at stuff now? And
it's subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now as I'm like, I love comedy a hell of a lot more. Like, I just love watching everything funny, and I understand that comedy is comedy. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Exactly.
And since I've watched that, I've also watched Afterlife on Netflix. Don't know if you've seen it.
God, that's such a good show. I've not watched season 2 yet, but season 1, holy shit.
I've watched both of them, yeah. So season 2 is really, really good as well. It's the way it's written as well.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but poignant at the same time.
He's an exceptional writer. There's no doubt about that.
And his comedy is actually quite funny as well. I think, as I say with this list, any one of these could have been. I mean, I feel bad for Adam Rowe, number 5, one of the comedians I listen to all the time. But I feel like it's very difficult to get a list, isn't it, of getting everything everywhere. So yeah,
exactly,
Ricky Gervais for me is something I've watched recently, and
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm pretty sure if Adam hears this, he wouldn't feel too bad knowing that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He's at number 5 on the list that includes the people you've mentioned. It's like, seriously, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Adam Rowe, if you ever listen to this, which I hope you really do at some point, very unlikely, but you are one of the best comedians going. Enjoy yourself.
If you want, you can join the shit show. Yeah, I like it. Awesome. So that's your number 2.
Yes.
Cool.
Who's your number 2, Chris?
Hey, we're getting quicker. That gap is a little bit smaller. He's getting better, folks. My number 2. My number 2 is it's where Louis used to live, but obviously Louis has been quiet, so I've listened to him less recently.
Right. Okay.
My current number 2 is Tom Segura. Tom Segura is fucking hilarious. If you've not seen any of his stand-up, which I don't think he's particularly that big over here, but I listen to his podcast every week. Him and his wife, Christina Pazitsky, who's also a comedian. They do a podcast called Your Mum's House, which is easily the best podcast I've ever heard. It's so funny.
I've listened to it a few times actually.
Yeah. They have video clips and stuff as well, and there's some messed up stuff. And they've recently been doing live shows, which they have to not have on YouTube. Because it's so messed up. Their goal is to make you vomit. Basically, it's that messed up.
Oh, nice.
Wow. It doesn't happen. They're weak. So yeah, it's fine. But it's just his stand up is exceptionally good. His recent one, we went to see him. He came over to the Lowry. He did, I think, 3 shows in England. One of them was in the Lowry. And so he was there, and he was being supported by one of the guys in the podcast as well, Josh Potter, also really funny. But anyway, his newest special is called Ball Hog on Netflix. And I highly, highly recommend it. But the way he does stuff, it's kind of like what you were saying about Lee Evans. He he almost like characterizes some things. Like he talks normally, but sometimes when he says certain words or does certain actions, It gives it like a bit of character, and it really makes things stand out. So yeah, give Tom Segura a listen to. I think he's got 4 or 5 specials on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like mostly stories. I think it's called Completely Normal. But there's a bunch. Look up, just type in Tom Segura for God's sake. You'll find it. He's fantastic.
Comedy is fantastic, and the comedy just fucking puts you up there, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely puts you up there watching some comedy. Brilliant. Exactly.
So, Jack, this is it. This is the gold spot. Who is your number 1 comedian?
My gold spot is Paul Smith.
Paul Smith.
So
Paul Pablo himself.
Paul Smith is my number 1, and it's because every time I've catch myself doing something, so like something in the house or I'm washing up, cleaning or whatever, I'll chuck a YouTube video on. It's usually Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool.
Right.
And I just
easily the best comedy club in the country. Just put it out there.
Unbelievable! But the way his crowd work stuff, some of his stand up's really good. I've watched the full stand up show of his as well. I just think he's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as I say, like having Adam and Paul as opposite ends of the scale don't do it justice. But I think it's Paul's just someone it's just someone I watch all the time.
Yeah.
And I just think it's funny, and I've never seen him do anything bad. Like I've never seen any of his stuff he's put bad. Granted, I know it's edited for the stuff, but I think it's brilliant. I was fortunate enough to do his podcast.
Yeah, you're a funny bastard.
What was it last year? Was it at the start of the year? Or
I can't remember. This year's been a
whenever
blur.
it was. I was on the podcast.
It feels like last week.
He's a lovely bloke as well.
Yeah.
So it's been great, and Paul Smith's just one who makes me feel good when I listen to comedy, and
absolutely.
I think he's just his off the cuff work on his crowd responses as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, so. And I've seen that firsthand as well. Like I've done Hot Water a couple of times, and he's brought me up.
Yeah.
And it's just seeing him warm up the crowd. Just so thankful because it's like I'd be there, shaking like a shitting dog because I'm like about to go on for the first time. My first full 5-minute set. It's like terrifying moments, and then Paul just does the crowd up nice, and then you get up there and he says, "Oh, that was good, wasn't it?" When you get off, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
And his comedy is so good; it's really good. So to be able to work with the crowd like that, I don't know. Like, I don't think I'd be particularly good at crowd work if it wasn't like insulting in a way. Because like my way of like in work and stuff, my way of kind of comedy banter is always like intentionally over dramatic put downs. You know what I mean? Like
I know what you mean.
It's almost like a roast. That's what we do. It's just it's how we make the giggles.
Yeah.
But
when we started that podcast, so there was a little bit of a crowd. There was about 20 people there in the crowd.
Yeah.
It was only a small building that we were in.
I know there's 20 people there.
And I whispered to him. I was like, "Oh mate, don't worry, you can joke about the wheelchair a lot." I whispered at his ear, and he's like, "Everyone, he's in a wheelchair. Everyone." No.
Proper icebreaker.
He was like, "Oh, didn't realise you're in a wheelchair, mate." And I was like, "No, just being nice on your end."
Oh God, that's brilliant. Yeah, I remember you did a particularly good little rip on him at some point. That should be clipped and put out on its own thing. That was great. But although I wouldn't do it these days, he'd kick your ass. Have you seen him?
Absolutely.
The guy's a machine.
Jesus
Christ, man. He keeps putting pictures up with no top on. Like, come on, Paul.
Yeah, it's just how can he be that funny and like that in shape? I don't understand it.
It doesn't make sense. It should be either or. And he's a ginger as well, so kick my ass for saying it. But self-defense goes a far way when you're a kid, I guess.
At least we can go in the sun. So
it's just like a vampire. You got to outrun him. Just make it past the shadows. No, but it's very well deserved. Good spot. I like it. Paul Smith.
Who's your number 1, Chris?
My number 1
for our top 5 list.
My number 1 for the gold for our top 5 comedians list is Bill Burr. Now, I know he was a bit lower on your list, but over the past probably, I don't know, a long time basically, he's been my favourite for a long time. I've listened to almost every episode of the Monday Morning Podcast, which he does. He does 2 a week basically. But his style of comedy, like you said before, is no nonsense. Just this is how I feel. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Literally, they're the words he says. And I love that thought process of go fuck yourself, because it's not meant to be an insult. It's more of a, if this isn't your cup of tea, move along. Absolutely, it doesn't need to be your cup of tea. If you're offended by it, cool, move along.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, so it's not aimed at you. And one of the things he says about, like what you've seen about the Ricky Gervais stuff and getting used to him, one of the things that Bill says is like, people are laughing along in the audience until it gets to the part where it's something to do with them, and then they're offended. It's like, fuck you laughed at everything else. You can't not laugh at this bit because you find it offensive. You laughed at everything else. I poke fun at these guys and those guys, and it doesn't. You were fine with that. So it kind of opens your eyes to be more subjective about stuff, and just enjoy things for what they are. Because I know I don't have specific disabilities or things that people could jibe at specifically that would hurt me. I'd have, some, but not much.
Yeah, yeah.
But I now know that if I did, it would be kind of, I'd be able to overlook that and allow jokes in
it's
of
comedy,
that.
isn't it?
It's comedy. It's if somebody gets a laugh out of it, it's fine. Unless it's like painfully racist stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
like
there's a line, isn't there?
There's a line.
There's definitely a line.
You can go up to like stereotypes and things. There's always some kind of humor in some kind of stereotype. I'm not saying all of them. Some of them are horrific. Some of them are not funny. But there's some that are. But what I'm saying. But yeah, Bill Burr, he has the approach that I like about musicians as well, where, for example, like Linkin Park or Miyavi, every album is an evolution. It's a slight change. It adjusts. Every single one of Bill's specials, he scraps his comedy from the year before, starts afresh.
Okay.
Full
Just
new
cuts
year.
It off. That's done.
Done. Doesn't do it anymore.
That must be hard as a comedian.
It's got to be terrifying, but apparently it's his favourite part because he gets to work out all this new material and be shit for a bit,
it's true. Yeah.
But he says that he always tries to learn a new technique for each special. So if you look through them in order, you see this personal growth. Like one of them, I think he said he wasn't comfortable doing like character work.
Yeah.
Like he'd be talking about people, and he'd just use like his own voice and stuff. And then the next special, he had like a back and forth with like him and his wife, and he'd give her a voice and this kind of stuff. Or he said he wanted to be a bit more physical about things.
Yeah.
And that created one of his best routines I've ever seen. He's got a comedy special called "So You Feel That Way," which he said fuck everybody. I'm filming it in black and white, and it's not going to be in HD. Because he said this is comedy. You don't need to see the sweat dripping out my pores. So it's literally it's an SD special released in like 2014, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not in HD. It's in black and white. It's on Netflix, and he has in there's the helicopter routine. Now you'll watch it. You'll know which one it is, but it's some of the single funniest comedy I've ever seen, and the physicality of it, the way he does the voices, the way he does the mic work, just everything about that routine is so well done, and it's easily sits above. It sits there at the very top of one of my favorite routines of all time.
Absolutely.
So I recommend that, guys. I don't think it's on YouTube or anything, but he's got a bunch of specials on Netflix. Like I said, Paper Tiger, definitely some of his best work. Really funny stuff.
Really good.
Yeah, he's got I think 5 or 6.
Who do you reckon would win in a fight between your top one and my top one?
Easily, Paul. It's the battle of the Reds, except one's in his 50s and one is built like a brick shithouse. And Bill would say the same. I guarantee it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because Bill's always said he talks a hard game, but he would not win in a fight. He's just got a big mouth on him. Paul would beat the shit out of him. He probably wouldn't want to, but because it's the line. That's my number one is Bill Burr, easily.
Nice.
So it was hard to come up with the list. Some of it I'd change in the future. Some of it would change, in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, but
probably if I wrote this list tomorrow, it'd be different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of them things, and that's the great thing about comedy and music and everything like that. There's such a wide variety out there for everyone.
Yeah, exactly, and it's important to just not set yourself on these lists. It's like what we said about before with the music stuff. Like, don't just because you like Metallica, don't only listen to Metallica. Give baby metal a go. Spread it out a bit. see what you end up with. Just because you like, Peter Kay doesn't mean you can't like Bill Burr. They're both very, very different comedians.
Yeah.
But they have different areas of comedy to look into. It's also the same. A lot of people don't listen to like female comics, or like if they're white, they don't listen to many black comics, or whatever. There's a whole different lane of comedy there.
That's true.
I love a lot of comedy from all different places. But like before when I said about your mum's house podcast, Christina Pajitsky, who's Tom's wife, but is her own stand-up in her own regard. She doesn't even have his surname. It's like that's how standalone it is. And her comedy's brilliant, really good. In fact, she's got a couple of specials on Netflix as well. I think Mother Inferior, and she was on a group of specials called The Degenerates, which has also got Joey Diaz. His specials on there.
Joey Diaz,
the same lineup, and she was on it. It was in Vegas, and she was heavily pregnant. Like, was gonna drop any second, and she's in Vegas doing a comedy special. It's like, Jesus Christ, man, that is a baller right there.
Fair play,
That is
If anyone's listening and they want us, you drop your top 5 below of comedians, because we want to listen to other comedians. We want to see what your
always
top 5
up for
are.
Suggestions. Always up for that.
So if you just found this video, you stumbled across it, please just drop your top 5 comedians, or top 1, top 3, just comedians.
Just whatever. Who are your favourite comedians, basically?
Yeah, because we'd love to listen to more.
Yeah.
Because comedy makes us smile, and if it doesn't make us smile, it's not comedy.
Exactly.
That's a t-shirt.
T-shirt like that. That's a little T-shirt idea.